What could you do to protect your pets if you're sick or injured? My product, Save My Pet ID tag, helps you ensure that your beloved pets are safe and well cared for, even when life isn't what you expect.
I believe, is this your first book that you've written?
It is.
That is magical. Everyone, it is called Puppy Brain. I want to dive in because you get the magic of seeing them come out of the womb from mama dog.
Yeah.
But most people don't really get a puppy. They recommend usually, 10 to 12 weeks. Sometimes people get puppies a little sooner. In your book, you mentioned there's 2 fear periods and all that. But can you put us right there with the first couple of weeks of a puppy that might surprise people about when they see, when they smell, what's going on in their noodle?
Yeah. Well, not much is going on in that noodle. Because when they're born, their brain is actually just mostly water. And it's astonishing the way that the brain develops and how fast it develops. So when they're born, they're altricial, which means that they're not fully developed. They have sealed, people will say, oh, they're blind and deaf. Well, they have sealed eyes, they have sealed ear canals, and that's to protect those mechanisms that are not fully formed yet. They can't regulate their body temperature. That's why mom is so important, because she provides warmth. They can't walk. I mean, they are really, I marvel that even though they can't do any of that, they can make their way, I call it the milk bar. They can make their way
To the milk bar.
bar. And then, at about...
you came up with a word. You're big on words, big words. I'm going to mess it up. Synaptogenesis?
Synaptogenesis.
Oh, say it. Snap it. Snap it. Come on. What does that mean in plain English?
I'm just basically talking about the way that the brain develops synaptic connections. And, obviously I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm a lawyer that makes big disclaimers too. And I hope that my disclaimer was clear that, I'm trying to grapple with some really complicated concepts and make them readable. And so at the bottom line is that those little brains between birth and around 14 weeks I'll say they are creating all sorts of new connections, forming trillions of synapses. That continues. It's not like the brain stops creating new connections after a puppy reaches 14 weeks of age. Just the way that they learn is different. And the parts of the brain that are being formed, where memories are being stored and made changes some. But they are just, in those early weeks, they are such soft clay. And we have so much.
Oh, I like that. Well,
yeah.
You pointed out in the book that a 14-day-old puppy doesn't really know you're around, but you double that to 28, and the puppies finally are aware of humans. Talk about that, because that's important.
Yeah, I would say, at 2 weeks of age, maybe their eyes have unsealed, their ears are still sealed, they are still a neonate. The brain is still in a very, very early phase of development. And by 4 weeks of age, ears are unsealed, eyes are unsealed, they're barking, they're bumbling around like little bumper cars, banging into each other, they're wobbling around like little drunken sailors.
I've dated a few, but keep going.
Puppies or drunken sailors?
No puppies. Okay.
Yeah. But they're very, very aware. I mean, if I sit in that box when they're 4 weeks old, it is the most magical experience, because they just come over to me and they're sniff, sniff, sniff. They're running across like our skin.
You smell different. You don't smell like mama.
Oh, yeah. And then they try and climb on you and they just nuzzle you. And it's just, they have such a bent already towards humans. It's extraordinary. And that's because they've become familiar with us, right? If we had not been there in their environment, then maybe they would not develop that kind of bond with us. But we do that really early on intentionally.
So let's zip a little forward, because you have a whole chapter called Days 50 to 56. Godspeed, little ones. And this is they got teeth now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
What's going on then? About 5, 6 weeks.
5, 6 weeks, they're very social. So at 4 weeks, if I walk in the puppy area and I say, hi, puppies, everyone's heard me do that on Instagram a million times. They run around in circles and they can't figure out where that sound's coming from. But by 6 weeks, those heads are up, the eyes are target locked on me. They know exactly, as soon as they, get a sense that I'm in the room, they're trotting along their area, trying to get to me. They're extremely social at that point. Their teeth are fully emerged and they are really beginning to need to chew because it's such a canine thing. I mean, that is just instinctual. They just have to chew. So yeah, by 7 weeks, we're getting a lot of track marks on our hands.
So before we take a break, what are some things people can do? Because they do hurt. They do need the teeth. How do we save our skin and also help them develop proper, healthy chewing on safe items?
Well, I think this goes back to what I said earlier about having a puppy area.
Yes.
Just having that management so they're not like, if they're right with you in your living room and there's not a place that they know is theirs, they're going to chew on you. They're going to chew on the couch. They're going to chew on the rug. This is what they will do. It's not a question of whether they will or not because they need to.
Yeah.
So then, because they're canines. And so instead of getting frustrated or angry with them, if we give them an area that's theirs and we help them relieve, I mean, their jaws are really like they need to be able to get that relief of chewing. We can give them also at 8 weeks of age, you can start to use bully sticks and a bully stick holder.
And thank you for saying that because the bully stick holder, everyone, is reducing the risk of pets dying from choking on objects. I'm a master instructor in pet first aid, and there's some veterinarians that have created a new holiday, June 22nd, which is Preventing Pet Choking Day. And thank you for talking about the holder for a bully stick.
It's really important. I wouldn't give a bully stick without one because it is such a choking hazard. I'm a big fan of these treat toys that you can fill. There's one that I reference a lot in the book called the Chili Penguin. And you fill it. And you're satisfying it with those. It's really more about the need to lick and the need to chew. It's not, sometimes I'll give our dogs those when they are needing a meal. And sometimes I'll give them just to satisfy that need. Like if I know they're going to have, like right now, if I'm on a podcast, they need to be doing something. It's a great time to give them a frozen treat toy. They can lick and gnaw. And that's the same thing with a puppy.
Helps their gums too when it's cooler, right?
Oh yeah, it really helps. It helps relieve that need. So that's our job as humans, is to help them relieve the need to chew rather than trying to stop it, because it's not stopping. As an 8-week-old, 10-week-old, 12-week-old puppy.
Grow up, young pup. Come on.
Yeah.
We're speaking with Carrie Nichols. This is her first book, and is it a great one? She dove in to a book called Puppy Brain, and it's already reaching acclaim from very, very well-respected veterinarians and behaviorists and trainers all over the place. I like how you divided the book up into 4 parts. You have the developmental milestones. You talk about puppy preparations for us humans. And we talk about just how you came to be from a lawyer to raising very healthy golden retrievers. And then the final section is just setting your puppy up for happiness. So you talked about having a designated puppy zone. And now you got Goldens and they grow fast. So can you give us a few more ideas of how, if you either are having a litter, but let's go more with people adopting a litter, a puppy or two from you, maybe the puppies are, what week do you recommend that people should really get a puppy and puppies ready to be saying bye-bye to mom?
I think that's super context dependent because it depends on the breed. It depends on the breeder. There's so much involved in that.
That's why I'm asking the question, because I knew you would not say one answer, but dive in because this is really important, Carrie.
Yeah. So for us, because we have done so much for our puppies, by the time they're about 8 weeks old, I feel like it's a house of cards. Because they're doing things like, even though I have the entire puppy zone set up and it's massive and they have all sorts of things to play with, at 8 weeks of age, that brain is changing and they want to be with me. And that's where they want to be.
Really?
So it's not that they want to be, if they could choose to be with me or be with the siblings, they're going to climb out of that area and get to me. And there are many mornings where I come out and I will find a little puppy greeting me. I walk down. Yeah, they're so proud. I walk out of my bedroom and I walk down the hallway and I'll see maybe like a little piddle and I'm like, uh-oh. And no matter like how, because we do so many challenges for them to build that brain that no matter what I do, they're determined to get out of there. They're ready for one human being. Our puppies, I'll just say, my puppies are ready for one human being to begin doing things like taking them to the vet for like really positive vet experiences.
Thank you. Yes.
I can't, if I have 10 puppies, taking 10 puppies individually to the vet to go sit in the waiting room and have treats, that it's just not really very realistic. And so I want to get them into their homes. And I really set our families up. That's the entire book is what I've ever done with our families so that they are ready to hit the ground running after the 3 days of decompression with their puppies. So I know a lot of small dogs need to go home later than that, for sure. And it just, I think, it depends on the litter and it depends on the breeder.
No, I appreciate that because, up until this book, really, I've read a lot of books. I've been in the business over 20 years. And we always say that puppies aren't born with a training manual. Mm-hmm. And I think Puppy Brain is pretty darn close to that. Because of your research, Miss Lawyer, because you know how to research and you know how to get it vetted and approved by experts. And that's what people need. Don't you think there's been a void about really, really looking at the science and the development of puppies prior to your book? I'm not trying to set you up like the Moses of puppies, but you really are tackling this topic in not a cute way, but in a very deliberate, in-depth researched manner.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there is a void. I also think we have an uphill battle because we were all raised with some really outdated, harmful methods. And turning that ship it's a lot. And I feel like as soon as people understand, dominating
give us a couple of don'ts and then do's.
Okay. An example would be when I first started having dogs of my own as a young adult, I had gotten it in my head that I should show my puppy that either I'm the boss or that I'm safe and stick my hand in their bowl while they're eating. And you guys, and it's just the worst advice ever. Of course, they're canines. I mean, they're not human beings. They're canines. And
their most priceless asset next to their human is their food, not a car, not the house. So you're just taking their diamond rings.
Yes. And creating this threat. And I mean, I say it over and over again, our job is to help them feel safe. They need to feel safe as baby puppies. And that right there doesn't make them feel safe. They think, this person isn't to be trusted.
Yeah. And then the dog might be learning to inhale food, develop bloat,
resource guarding.
I love that. All right. Yes. What's another don't to a do? Because you're knocking it out, girl.
I mean, this is really old school, but people used to rub their puppies' noses and wherever they soiled. I mean, these are things that we did, right? But it's all dominance theory. It's all basically like, I'm the boss, you're my little soldier, and you're going to do what I tell you to do. And that's been, for me, like, that chapter, First Train the Humans, it's about changing the way people think about canines and understanding we can have this unbelievably beautiful relationship with our dogs where there's mutuality and they're sentient beings who need us to see them as sentient beings. And that completely changes the way that we perceive them.
In that area, you also say, learn to speak dog. And you've seen the coffee cups, wag more, bark less, things like that. We think we're stellar at communications, but tell us why dogs maybe have a tail up on us.
Right, exactly. I think that's such a great example because we think, they're wagging, they're happy. And in the world of dogs, a tail wag, I mean, first off, all dog communication has to be taken in context. You have to look at the entire situation. What are their ears doing? What's their mouth doing? Is it clenched? Is it happy? Is their body, the entire body, loose and waggy? Or are they stiff with the tail up, which is an indication of I'm on alert. I am, right? Yeah. And they're considering what their next move is, but definitely aren't saying, come pet me with that behavior.
Yes, this is good. You get into the fun time, the teenage years.
Yeah.
And anybody that's raised a two-legged teenager, you have. What's the similarities between teenage puppies and teenagers?
Aren't they the same? I feel like maybe they're the same.
They're not borrowing the car keys, right?
Okay, there's that. Yes. I mean, a puppy's brain in adolescence is literally being reorganized. They are reorganizing information. They they're responding to the way that hormones are changing in their body. That's such a great comparison, right? I mean, I would say, I have my two youngest are boys, and when those hormones, came online, things were different. And I could see I'm not taking it personal. What's going on with you? I'm not taking it personal because you're going through so much. Your body is going through so much, and you're not actually in control of what you are doing. And I think with adolescent puppies, it's a lot of the same. I mean, a puppy, an 8-week-old will not leave your side. You have to watch out that you don't trample them. I mean, they want to be under your foot. And an adolescent puppy is looking to go mate. I mean, that's what's happening in their brain, right?
Put on a little Barry White, get going. I mean, we say the section is, blame it on their brain and be patient. So a couple of tips for adolescents, puppies.
I think that patience is the absolute watchword for an adolescent. And also going back to the basics. I think a lot of people get frustrated that we already did this. You already know this. We already worked on this. Why are you not doing whatever it is that you like? For example, recall. Right. If, as a puppy, they would come running back. And now here we are with this adolescent who acts like they can't hear you.
Talk to the paw because the ears aren't listening.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Right. But
So,
they're exploring, right? They're not being mean to you.
No.
They're trying to grow up.
Yeah, we have to not take that personal and then put them in a situation where they're going to have success. So a long line is such a valuable tool I think it's always a valuable tool, but in adolescence, rather than a puppy going away from you and you're calling them and they're ignoring you and the brain is getting it hardwired, wow, I can ignore. Wow, I don't need to listen.
Right.
Rather than that, you are setting them up for success by practicing recalls and a really low.
We'll talk about the long line before we've got about a minute before our break. So what would give us?
So a long line, if they're not coming to you, you can walk to them. Not that you're not dragging them to you. You can get to them. They're not running away from you because they're on the long line. And then
you're walking to them.
You're walking to them, key. And then when they see you oh, hey, human, then you give a treat. And that actually reinforces there's a foundational for a recall.
Very nice. Years ago, I had a corgi, Pembroke, named Jazz, and he would come on cue for come. And I was younger, and I made a boo-boo. I go, get here now, come, Jazz. I said, come. And he's like, paws up in the air, which one. And then I realized I just tainted the word come. So I would say, here, Jazz. And we were able to make that transition. So sometimes we are human. We make mistakes. So if come becomes a nasty 4-letter word to a puppy, your advice?
Oh, I think what you just said. First off, you can choose a different word.
Yes.
I mean, they will respond to anything. I saw a video years ago where she said, bacon, and the dog came, tearing over. Because basically you're creating an association between them responding to a certain cue and a treat. And so you could pick any word you want. But if a word gets tainted, I'd say pick a different word. And don't let that one get tainted.
All right. So we do want to talk a little bit about your how do you call this? The Nickelberry, is it a farm? What is this place? Tell us a little bit about that. How, if people are interested in getting puppies that are from the author of Puppy Brain, how do they go about it?
That's becoming increasingly difficult. My wait lists have always been at least a year, and so they can email me for sure. Okay. Because at a minimum, I did put a chapter in Puppy Brain on researching breeders because I do get so many emails.
Well, but there's others that you respect. I understand that.
And I will also help. I am really happy to help people find a healthy puppy. So I have so many people email me and say, I'm looking at this breeder. What do you think? And then I tell them what I think. And I show them how I go through that process with health clearances and the questions you can ask and all those things. But they can email me for sure.
Well, they also can go to your site. Is it your name, carrienichols.com/training? Is that the website you want?
It probably just carrienichols.com for the book.
Okay.
And then my Instagram is Nickelberry Goldens. And then also my website is Nickelberry Goldens.
Why the Goldens? I mean, what's wrong with the Labrador or the French Bulldog? Come on.
I know. And let me tell you, as I get older, I think gosh, a smaller breed, but I love them too much. That I will always have a golden.
Years ago, I had a golden retriever husky mix.
Oh gosh.
So I did a lot of vacuuming and Furminator
Yes.
brushing.
Yeah.
And she was from a rescue, a golden retriever rescue, but they allowed Chipper in because she had color by golden, body by husky. And the first day she's in my backyard, she leaped over my 6-foot fence.
Oh,
That's a husky.
husky.
Jerome.
Yep.
She ran to my front door and pawed it.
Oh gosh.
And
She's
that's the
what she
golden
was
who
capable
wants to
of.
be
Yes.
home, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, explain that. What is
Yeah.
it about the Goldens, their personalities?
I know. And our golden Rufus does the same thing. If he accidentally gets out of the yard, he's like, well, I'm definitely not supposed to be out here. So then he runs around to the door. You know, they were bred to retrieve waterfowl, but also to be a companion. And
Yeah.
that is exactly what they are. They're affable, they're friendly, outgoing. Every human feels like their favorite human. I mean,
I like
you can
that.
have epic arguments because you will always feel like, I mean, I am Harper's favorite human, but
Well, yeah, do a shout out to Harper because you had a little checklist what you liked about Harper in the book, but tell everybody a little bit about Harper.
oh, Harper Girl, she's going to break all of the records for longevity. I'm just telling you, that's what's going to happen.
Middle name Methuselah?
Exactly. She is the quintessential golden. She absolutely, if she sees me put my shoes on, are we going for a walk? If she, I turn on the car, she's ready to go jump in the back and go for an adventure. She wants to go swimming wherever there's water. She loves everybody. She's a therapy dog. She's just really, I have a joke on Instagram, hashtag Harper can do no wrong. And even though she does all sorts of things she shouldn't, that I'd prefer her not to do, she does them because she's a dog. She's really
How old is she now?
She's 8.
Okay, cool. I hope she keeps going. What's something that might surprise people about you? Are you a secret chef? Did you win the lottery during this broadcast? I mean, what's something that might surprise people about Carrie Nichols?
I can't believe you just asked that because I was talking with my agent last week and I said this off the cuff and she said, "What? You need to tell people that. I'm allergic to dogs."
Oh.
I know.
So you lots of Benadryl or what? What's going on?
I use lots of vacuuming. I vacuum like a beast. I mean, I really vacuum a lot. And I'm very careful about washing my hands. And I just make sure hair doesn't get anywhere near my face. And that's been manageable.
I did not know that. That's why I had this spidey sense. I needed to ask you that question. And how do people get their paws on your book, Puppy Brain? I love this book. And it's hey, everybody, it's very well organized. It's very vetted out, but it comes from the heart. Your heart beats dog.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, any independent bookstores for sure. Go in and order at your independent bookstore, anywhere that books are sold. I sound like a commercial.
Thanks so much for making our tails wag by watching this guest interview from Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life. Make sure to subscribe so you're up to date with all of our Four-Legged Life content.